You're listening to the Station 71 podcast with your hosts, Mario,
Beth,
Brian,
and Kirsten.
So this week we're kind of going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to save our news segment for the very end of the show and do a little game that we kind of came up with. I'm going to let Brian introduce this since you are the one that came up with the rules, kind of give us our rundown on what we're allowed to do. But we are going to plan a single day at Walt Disney World, and this is sure to be very interesting for all of us.
Yeah, so actually before we even started doing the podcast, we were trying to come up with a couple of different show topics that we know we would want to do, and this was one of them. So the basic idea was just, what would you do if you had one day to cram as much Disney in it as you can? And that kind of evolved into this ridiculous game we have set up now. But I'll go through a little synopsis of the rules, and if any of our listeners out there are crazy enough to try this too, to spend a couple hours to sit down and try to come up with better itineraries than us, by all means send them to us. We'd love to hear them. But so the basic premise of this game is to imagine that someone came to you and said they've never been to Disney before. They have won a 2-night stay and a 1-day park hopper to Disney World. So they've never been, they don't know much about planning, and they want to try to fit as much Disney in this day as possible. So your job is to try to cram pack that day full of going through the parks or anywhere else around Disney that you would send them. So the rules, we're trying to be consistent. So we used the touring plans calendar for today, which is November 8th, to track the wait times per day, and just kind of round it around to the nearest 15-minute increment for the wait times. You have to plan 3 meals for the person for the day in the park. Table service restaurants will take an hour of time. Quick service restaurants take 30 minutes. Feel free to use resort dining or ADRs before park opening if that helps. 3 Fast Pass Plus reservations, and you get 1 additional pickup after the initial 3 are used, just like a normal day of planning, but we're only going to keep the 1 additional one just to kind of keep it from getting too ridiculous. You have the following rides are off limits for the additional fast pass you pick up, because you would probably never be able to get them, and that's Seven Dwarfs, Peter Pan, Frozen, Soarin', Rock and Roller Coaster, Midway Mania, Flight of Passage, and then any of the nighttime shows, Happily Ever After, Illuminations, Fantasmic, and Rivers of Light. Attraction durations, we're going to say that attractions last 15 minutes of time, just as a rough average across the parks and to keep things simplified. And for shows, we're going to say Festival of Fantasy and Happily Ever After are 15 minutes, and Fantasmic lasts a half hour. And then with a couple of my attractions that I knew would last a little bit longer than the 15 minutes, I tried to account for that in the planning. Let's see. So other than that, okay, let's see. Travel time between parks. We're going to say between Hollywood Studios, Epcot, and Animal Kingdom is a half hour. Between Magic Kingdom and either Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom is going to be an hour. And then between Epcot and Magic Kingdom, because you could potentially use the monorail, is only a half hour. Let's see. Extra magic hours and rope drop. So for the you get to pick one park that you say is going to have 1 hour of a morning extra magic hour. And with that, your first attraction you get to treat as a walk-on. And then any other subsequent attractions are going to be 15-minute waits, just to try to keep with how we normally see how parks are. Feel free to include any non-attractions inside of the park to kind of give your visitor what you would feel like they would want to do, even if it's not considered an attraction in the park. For example, walking around Main Street or exploring Tom Sawyer Island. And we use park hours for Magic Kingdom of 9 to 11, Epcot from 9 to 9, World Showcase 11 to 9, Hollywood Studios from 9 to 7, and Animal Kingdom from 9 to 8:30. So we'll probably post these up for anyone that wants to actually try this, so you don't have to try to go back through me saying this and writing it down. But yeah, so that's basically the game. I think we all discovered that this was not as simple as we originally thought. But yeah. So I guess who wants to start this off?
Before we start this off, I want to preface this with what I said in the group chat earlier. We're in no way advocating that you should be touring this way.
Yeah.
Because, like, 2 weeks ago, we were like, you can ruin your trip by over-planning. And I know for a fact that we all over-planned this.
Yeah.
So we're not saying that this is the perfect way to tour the park. We're not saying that this is the way you should tour the park.
Or even a good way.
This is just kind of... Yeah, no, I think we've all kind of decided that this is probably the worst possible way that we could think to tour the parks.
Yeah, this is for the crazy situation where somebody has literally a once-in-a-lifetime chance to spend a day in the park, and you want to give them as much as possible. So please, please, dear God, do not try to use this itinerary.
Oh my gosh.
So who wants to go first? I know
I'll
don't.
I'll start.
You are so brave.
Well, I mean, I feel like I followed the rules exactly technically, and that's it. Like, I did not give any extra time for anything that I didn't have to. Okay, so I'm usually a park warrior. I'm not this much of a warrior. This is impossible to accomplish. I know it is. But I did this for someone like myself who really enjoys thrill rides. You know, Disney's not huge on thrill rides. They don't really have that many. But I wanted to get a good mix in of the big thrills they do have and also the things that are really unique about Disney World when compared to other, amusement parks. Because this is kind of giving away something that I don't do in my plan. Like Rock and Roller Coaster, I love it. It's great. It's probably one of my favorites just because of Steven Tyler. But you can ride a roller coaster similar to that in a whole lot of amusement parks. Yeah, the theming is good, but it's not over the top amazing. So I tried to do stuff that was more unique that you're not going to find, in Cedar Point or Six Flags or anything like that. Let's see. So do you want me to just go for it?
Yeah, just go for it.
Okay, so I chose for my person to stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge because, one, it fits in with my morning plans well, and two, I do think it's one of the most well-themed and unique resorts that Disney has on property. So that's how we're doing that. And they start off their morning with the Sanaa quick service breakfast at 7 a.m. And it's quick service, so they finish at 7:30. And I didn't really plan anything from 7:30 to 8, I guess getting to Animal Kingdom. So Animal Kingdom, we're saying, has extra magic hours from 8 to 9 a.m. And clearly we're going to start off by, at 8 a.m., going straight to Flight of Passage. So 8 a.m. to 8:15, Flight of Passage. Yay.
I feel like before you go any further, I am willing to bet that we all did this.
I did.
Yeah.
Wow.
What?
That's surprising.
Okay, so Flight of Passage, and then they walk on to Navi River Journey, so that's 8:15 to 8:45. And then they walk on to Kilimanjaro Safaris, walk on as in the 15-minute wait that we discussed.
Mm-hmm.
So Kilimanjaro Safaris, 8:45 to 9:15. As you can see, they walked from Navi River Journey to Kilimanjaro really fast, but that's okay. And then Expedition Everest now, the morning lines are really not bad anymore because of Flight of Passage and Navi River Journey. So 9:15 to 9:37 is Expedition Everest. And then after Everest, they walk through the trails around the Tree of Life, where they have the animals and that sort of thing, to slightly slow down for like 2 seconds and enjoy that. And then at 10, they go to Festival of the Lion King. So that's 10 to 10:30, because I think it's exactly 30 minutes long. And then we're going to park hop to Epcot via bus. So we arrive at Epcot at 11. And then we are going to do the Test Track single rider line. And I don't know if you mentioned, Brian, we decided the rule for that would be Test Track single rider would be half as long as the standby line.
Yep.
That seems
so any
pretty...
single riders. So for Rock and Roller Coaster 2, if anyone decides to do that, cut the wait time in half.
Yeah. So Test Track single rider, that line would be about 30 minutes long. With the ride taking 15 minutes, they'll finish at 11:45. And then I did burn my fast passes at Epcot. I actually ended up only needing 2. I forgot to allow an hour in between, so I had to shuffle some things around. So I only used 2 official fast passes. And so fast pass Soarin', 11:45 to noon. And then the fast pass time that their window is 10:50 to 11:50. So I came back 5 minutes before my fast pass is up. And then they're going to have lunch at Sunshine Seasons. I think this is another good example of food that you're not really going to find in any other theme park. I feel like a lot of theme parks definitely skew towards chicken fingers and burgers and hot dogs and that kind of thing, which isn't a bad thing. But I just wanted to, be as different as possible. And I think Sunshine Seasons is really good, and they have a lot of variety. And then after lunch, they're just going to hang out for a minute because I had to wait to do my fast passes. So they can enjoy. I guess they could go see that Circle of Life movie, but I didn't put that in here. That's an option. And then they're going to do Fast Pass Living with the Land at 12:50 to 1:05. And I'm really sad I didn't get to fit Spaceship Earth in there, but didn't happen. So after Living with the Land, they're going to basically speed walk through all the countries. Don't really get to spend much time there. But for me, I love the countries. But again, most of it is just kind of shopping and food. So I can't spend a ton of time there. Like, I'll look in the store for 10 minutes, but then I get bored and I'm ready to move on. So they don't even get that opportunity. They're just going to walk through and go, oh my God, this is amazing. Look at Morocco. Look at France. Okay, time to go. And then they're going to leave through International Gateway. So I guess they get to skip the UK and Canada, or only go through the UK and Canada and skip everything else. And they are going to park hop to Hollywood Studios via boat. I try to get every mode of transportation in. So, at that point, we arrive at Hollywood Studios at 2 p.m. This has been a long day already. 2 to 2:40, clearly the best ride on the entire property, Tower of Terror. And then 2:40 to 3:15, I didn't really know how long this would take. I think the film is about 12 minutes, maybe 18, I don't remember. And the walkthrough is kind of just as fast as you want to go, but I had 2:40 to 3:15 as One Man's Dream, or as it is called now, Walt Disney Presents. If anybody's wondering what the situation is with that, they did redo some of I don't know if I talked about this after my trip report. They did redo some of the displays. They took out the display of Roy doing the dedication of Magic Kingdom, which made me really sad. And then the big video of Walt talking about Epcot and all that stuff. Do y'all remember that?
Yeah.
This is kind of off topic, but I figured I'd share. And so they changed stuff around. And they have new models up there, and they have this little section that's like Marvel or Guardians of the Galaxy. Not sure how they're getting away with that, but they are. And then the film goes in and out, because I asked the guy, I said, please don't break my heart. Please tell me One Man's Dream is showing. And what they're doing now is they're bringing in a preview. So right now it's a preview for Coco for like a month, and then it'll go back to One Man's Dream, the film, for a month or two until they have another preview they want to bring in. So that's how it's organized. Anyway, in this day, One Man's Dream is playing because it's the best movie ever. And we're going to watch that. So we finished that at 3:15. And then 3:15 to 3:50, Star Tours. And then it's time to go. Sadly, we did not get to hit Toy Story Mania. Or Rock and Roller Coaster. Anyway, so now we're going to park hop to Magic Kingdom. And how we're going to do it is we're going to take a bus from Hollywood Studios to the Contemporary. And then we're going to go in the Contemporary and get on a monorail and go to the Transportation and Ticket Center. And then we're going to get off the monorail and get on a ferry and go to Magic Kingdom.
Kirsten's like
That may
all about
be the
transportation.
That's the most inefficient way I've ever heard of getting into the Magic
I
Kingdom.
know, but I love... You said it only took an hour. You didn't say that in real life it would only take an hour.
Man, you are really stretching the rules here.
The reasoning is I love taking the ferry to Magic Kingdom. It's my favorite way to get there, especially on a nice day, like going in the morning. And so I was like, they have to take the ferry, but there's no real good way to get there unless they start the day there, and I don't want them to start the day there. So this way we got the ferry and then the monorail at the same time. I did have it where after the park was closed, they took the monorail to the Polynesian and then walked to the TTC and took the ferry back to Magic Kingdom and then took a bus home. But
Okay.
I changed it. Anyway, so now we are in Magic Kingdom. 4:50 to 5:22 is Dumbo. I was very accurate on these wait times. 5:22 to 5:49 is Teacups. And then 5:49 to 6:24 is It's a Small World. We always try to start our Magic Kingdom with the Dumbo, Teacup, Small World. Our first day, our first time when we go, because it was my mother-in-law's favorite 3 things to do in the morning. So we try to do that. And those are all 3 classics. You know, they're definitely not thrill rides, but it's something you need to do, I feel like. Okay. And then my extra fast pass, my 4th fast pass, well, I never used a 3rd one, but my spare is we're going to fast pass Pirates of the Caribbean, 6:24 to 6:39. And then Haunted Mansion until 7:15. And then we're going to do a table service dinner at Be Our Guest, and I noted that they have to get a seat by the ballroom window in the main room because that's the best spot.
Very specific.
Yes. When we had lunch, whenever I was there a couple weeks ago, I actually made everybody wait for a table in the West Wing, which is exciting because I love that room, but it's super dark. Like, I had my flashlight out trying to get my silverware and everything. So would not do that again. Anyway, so now 8:15 to 9, we're going to go hang out on the hub grass. Y'all can see my notes, I guess, and I put Rice Krispies. So for wishes, my tradition was always to go get one of the, not the ones you can buy that are already packaged, but from the actual confectionery, the Rice Krispie treats that have M&Ms on them. It's like my favorite thing ever. So I'd always go get one of those and watch wishes with it. So hub grass, Rice Krispie, get a good spot for the fireworks, and then 9 to 9:15, watch Happily Ever After. You said no time machine, so I'll suck it up. And then 9:15 to 10, Space Mountain. And then 10 to 10:37, 10:40, whatever, Jungle Cruise. And then I didn't actually check the wait time, but I'm guessing it's pretty slow for Carousel. So 10:45, whatever, to 11 is Prince Charming's Regal Carousel. I feel like that's another classic thing to just end the day with. And then 11 to 11:30, slowly make your way to the front of the park. If they could stay in time to see the Kiss Goodnight, that would be cool, but you never really know what time they're going to do it. And then midnight, go back to Animal Kingdom Lodge via a bus. The end.
Nice.
And then sleep forever.
You were like extremely specific there when you first got to Magic Kingdom. I was like, man, if this person's shoe comes untied, their whole trip's gonna be thrown off.
Leave it behind, just like Cinderella.
All right, so with your itinerary, what are you most disappointed that got left off?
I feel like she hit a lot of things, so I'm surprised if
Yeah.
she's disappointed in anything.
Spaceship Earth, Toy Story Mania, Dinosaur. I feel like there's one big thing at every park I wish that I could have fit in. I think I did the best at Animal Kingdom, but Dinosaur, I love Dinosaur. Epcot, like I still haven't ridden Frozen Ever After. I didn't have time, so I'm sad that they didn't get to at least experience that. But maybe that's just me. Sad that I haven't experienced it. But no, Spaceship Earth made me sad, and then Mission Space I had in there as the fast pass, but then I forgot the hour thing. So I took it out because that's a big thrill one, but it's not 100% unique, I guess. And I'm still mad about the whole Mission Space relaunch, and it's the same freaking thing. Like, ugh, whatever. Anyway, and then Magic, of course. Thank goodness I was able to extend the hours to 11 and get in Jungle Cruise, because I would have been sad without that. But like Big Thunder, Splash, both of those are definitely classic attractions. Sadly, I had to cut Country Bears.
I can't imagine how depressed you are.
And what else was I going to say that I missed in Magic Kingdom? Oh, Peter Pan's Flight, did not do that. Psh, whatever, don't care. Yeah. I don't know, I feel like there was one big thing in every park that I wanted either because it was a good thrill ride or because it was really unique to Disney. Like Spaceship Earth, I could have put that in, but I figured Living with the Land is definitely more unique, and special, and you're not going to find that anywhere else.
Okay.
I kind of had a similar thought with you when I made mine. I don't know if you want to move on to the next one yet, but I can do mine next, I guess.
Sure.
Do you have any critiques
Yeah,
or
go for it.
questions or anything else?
I think you went Ultra Park Warrior. I have to give you credit if you have ever even remotely tried anything like that.
I
But-
mean, I don't know.
I don't think I could ever tour a park that way.
It would be fun to try. Like, if I lived closer. Brian, you should go try all of ours.
I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it.
Brian's going to come back and be like, guys, I never want to go to Disney again. I'm off the podcast.
See, I do really want to try to hit 4 parks in a day once, but there is no way I'm going to do it like this.
I think if you did 4 parks in one day, you would have to do 1 ride in each park.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was our rule.
So, for mine, I didn't write this in my notes, and my notes are so sloppy. I apologize if anybody's looking at them. I went super basic, and I didn't pick a deluxe resort like you guys probably all did, and would probably be the choice if anyone had like that once-in-a-lifetime chance, and it was all paid for. I went with my favorite resort, Port Orleans Riverside, simply for the fact that we didn't specify what time this person was checking in. And I kind of wanted to flex the rules a little bit and say that if this person got in early, they could take a boat down to Disney Springs. So I kind of like that idea because it's not anything that's going to obviously require them a ticket, and it's going to be something that they can kind of easily, get to on a unique transportation and kind of just enjoy Disney Springs and kind of look at some different things there, because I feel like Disney Springs is pretty unique for what it is, obviously.
Yeah, and that was kind of why I included you specifying your resort and why why you would pick that and if you can get any extra experiences out of it. So that's a good one.
Yeah, and my other thing was I really thought about when I started this, I was like, where do I want to do breakfast? And the problem that I had with it is that I'm not a huge breakfast person. I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the show before, but as far as Disney and breakfast goes, most of the time when we're on our trips, we're either, one, skipping breakfast right away, or going to, like, the Main Street Bakery we used to do all the time before that became, like, a Starbucks. And that we're, like, going down to the food court and going there. And I know Port Orleans has a really good food court. It's nothing outside of the ordinary, like, you have your Mickey waffles, your French toast, create your own omelet. But I always found that I liked that one better out of the other food courts. Maybe that's just biased. So,
Plus, you could walk down to French Quarter and have breakfast beignets.
yes, that was another good option. So if you don't like the options they have there, it's right down the road. But I would have shot for a super early breakfast, like 7 o'clock, just so they could get their food and hop on a bus. The transportation was one of the things that I tried to highlight in my plan, which kind of, I think, swayed a lot of this into a way that I didn't want it to go. But the only bus they rode was the bus to get from the resort to Animal Kingdom. And then from there, I did the thing that that Kirsten did, and I rope dropped Flight of Passage. It was the only thing that really made sense to rope drop in Animal Kingdom, because it's got such a long wait time out of the ordinary hours. After that, I kind of had them walk over to Everest from 8:30 to 8:45, walk on, ride it. One of the reasons I started here was just because I think the best thing about Animal Kingdom is the atmosphere. And there have been a couple times that I've gone, especially in like the colder months, where it's all foggy down all the paths that you walk down, and it just adds to the atmosphere that you're, someplace in the jungle. But those were the only two that I actually did in Animal Kingdom, and I apologize because I know I missed a lot in there. But taking back what I said, they actually hop a bus from Animal Kingdom to Hollywood Studios. And from there, I blew my 3 fast passes right away. From 9:30 to 10:30, their fast pass was for Midway Mania, and I feel like that's probably the one that they would wait in line the longest for. Then they fast passed Tower of Terror and Star Tours. I didn't even really allow a lot of time for their Star Tours fast pass, because even though we said a designated hour for that time slot, I feel like with that fast pass, it's always like a walk in, walk out. So even if they take that 20-minute time slot and just kind of go in, that's probably the most they're ever going to wait for it. 12 o'clock, I have them hopping a boat to Epcot and grabbing lunch at Via Napoli. Via Napoli is just a spot that I really enjoy. It's pizza, but I think it's the best pizza on property, and pizza is always something that no matter what you like, you'll like pizza, or you'll find something that you'll eat on a pizza. Really, Epcot... What?
I was just going to say, I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I've never eaten there, but I've heard that the pizza's like amazing.
It's good. That's why I was very surprised that you just said it's just pizza, because it is not like not just pizza. It is not the fast food pizza you get at Disney.
Right, and that's the thing. I think the whole reason that I went with Via Napoli specifically over any other one, like
are the hot man waiters?
No.
That's a nice addition.
But I'm sure our person will appreciate that. But it isn't just pizza, so I have to take that back. It is the best pizza on property. It is so much better than any pizza that you get anywhere else. But the thing about it is, like I said, pizza is something that I think is universally liked, so I didn't kind of have to weigh anything out there. I think Epcot was really hard for me to choose a restaurant at, but I always kind of default to going to Via Napoli, if that gives you any indication on how I feel about their pizza.
No, here's my other question. Is it really good pizza compared to other pizza on property, or is it really good pizza compared to
anywhere else in your life?
Everywhere?
It's the best pizza I've ever had, no joke.
Okay.
I
may or may not have a reservation in February and intend on having a vegan cheat day there.
It's really
so
good.
Worth it.
It's definitely worth it. I live in a town that's predominantly Italian, and we have, I think the last time I counted, 12 pizza places. I would go to Via Napoli before I would go to any of those, and some of those are really good.
Nice.
So, moving on from Via Napoli, because I could probably talk about that for a while. Test Track Single Rider, around 2 o'clock, it was a 40-minute wait, so if we cut that in half, it was a 20-minute wait, I think it was, and cutting it in half and allowing that time. No, I was wrong. It was 40 minutes, so I allowed for 20 minutes, and then the 15 minutes on the ride, and ended at 2:45. This is where I screwed up the layout of my notes. Hopping off of that, Spaceship Earth was a 10-minute wait, and I put that you have to thank the Phoenicians for your trip, obviously. And then monorailed right over to Magic Kingdom. So I blew through those 3 parks. So that would put us in Magic Kingdom around 3:40. the first thing I would do while you're on the monorail is try to grab a fast pass for Space Mountain, because there was never a time where this wasn't a massive wait. So I locked out about an hour of time just for that fast pass. If you can get in, do the fast pass, get out, I would probably hop over to something that's got a shorter wait time. I know Buzz had a really short wait time, and Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor did as well. But then from there, I locked out that whole hour. 5:15, Pirates had a 15-minute wait, so that would bring us to 5:45. There was about almost an hour where I didn't schedule anything, because my logic with this was, I think there's so much to do in Magic Kingdom in terms of, like, things you can stumble upon, especially from going from Tomorrowland over to Pirates, and then Pirates over to Be Our Guest. There's so many, like, Streetmosphere things going on, different photo op opportunities. You might be able to catch something in between there. So my dinner was 6:30 at Be Our Guest to 7:30. I'm not going to say that there's a specific room or anything, like Kirsten said, that you have to eat in. I just think that Be Our Guest is probably one of the better sit-down restaurants in the park. Specifically Magic Kingdom, because Magic Kingdom doesn't really have that many good ones. After that, I had 8:15 Small World, which was about a 15-minute wait. After that, Haunted Mansion was actually a walk-on, because you start wandering into Happily Ever After territory. And I wasn't going to tell my person to go watch Happily Ever After, because I've specifically had some really good luck getting on rides while the fireworks are going on. If you're not a fireworks person, if it's not something that you really want to do, you can walk right on to rides fairly easily. As noted by my next one, which was Seven Doors Mine Train, that had a 10-minute wait at 9:30.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was actually really bummed, because I didn't think I was going to fit that in there, and I saw that 10-minute wait, and I was like, there's no way that I would pass that up. And then after that, I locked out 10:15 to 11 o'clock for Peter Pan's Flight, because I feel like this one has some of that classic Disney animatronic elements that you would see in some of the other rides that I listed, and it's also one that I really like the queue on, so I would specifically tell them to hang out and have fun in the queue. That half-hour wait time allows for you to kind of see everything that's in there, and it puts you at around 11 o'clock, which I'm going to say that I've seen this go for half-hour waits, and it's always a little bit longer, so that's going to put you a little bit after the park closes. It's far enough back in the park that you can kind of take your time walking out, and you can enjoy Magic Kingdom at night, because I think that's the most magical time to be in Magic Kingdom. That was stressful.
That sounds like a relaxing day compared to mine.
Yeah, that's pretty plausible that you could do that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I tried to keep it plausible. The only thing that really stressed me out big time was from Animal Kingdom through Magic Kingdom. Like, that first chunk of the day was just like, go through all this stuff. And I tried to hit all of the, like, I guess, classic attractions and things that really highlight what Disney is and why I like it. Which is why I hit certain things like Everest and Tower of Terror. Obviously, you get the thrill rides. But I also hit the classic ones like Pirates and Small World, just to kind of, give it something for everyone. I do think my touring sheet is plausible, but I would never want to do it.
Yeah, I realized when you said Mine Train that I forgot to say that was one thing I was disappointed by, but I knew that there was no way I could fit it in. What about you? Was there anything you were disappointed or particularly happy about?
So I'm really happy with my option of Seven Doors Mine Train. I'm very proud that I found that one, because it's never that short of a wait. But I'm happy with how some of these things lined up. The morning, I feel like I kind of rushed through a lot of that, so I'm like, on that. I know I missed a lot, like you said, in every park. Like, I would have loved to send them on Navi River Journey, but it just wouldn't have been possible. My whole goal was to be in Animal Kingdom from that extra magic hour and out of Animal Kingdom right away. And then I also missed Rock and Roller Coaster and like almost every ride in Epcot. I kind of agree with you on the whole World Showcase thing where it's like, okay, yeah, it's nice to look at and it's fun to walk around. However, I'm the opposite where I could spend all day in World Showcase, which was why I had to cut it. I didn't allow for any time in World Showcase at all. So there's a lot that I missed. And Magic Kingdom, I think, was the hardest one for me to block out just because there's so many good rides. And missing even like one or two of them made me feel like I was kind of abandoning my favorite child. So it was so hard. And then like I said earlier, the thing that really sucks is on a normal day outside of Christmas season or outside of any holiday, Jungle Cruise would be so easy to fit into my plan. There were 2 spots between Pirates and Small World and dinner that I could have probably easily flexed it in any time. But right now we're in Jingle Cruise territory and wait times are up to an hour. So I was really upset about that too.
So, all right. So, Brian, you want to go or you want me to go?
I guess I'll take a crack at it.
I'm interested in Brian's because this was your idea, so...
Yeah, mine's pretty crazy, and it is very similar to Kirsten's in where we start. And
I just pulled yours up, and oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You go down to the second page, wow.
So this technically fit within all the rules, so I'm going to go with it. I know I made the rules, but anyways... So I'm also staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and my thought behind that was kind of the same, that you've got a lot of really good dining to choose from there for the night before. You get to go see some of the animals that they have on property, and just I think the architecture at the resort is beautiful, probably the best, I would say, in terms of architectural design at Disney, but also because of where we will be starting our day, which is at Animal Kingdom. So before park, I would also suggest eating breakfast at Sanaa. I have never had breakfast there personally. I have had their lunch, and it was very, very good, so I can only imagine that their breakfast is at least decent as well. And I'm also kind of on the same train as Mario. I almost never eat breakfast like before going to the park, or if I do, it's just like a granola bar or something that I brought with me, because I feel like it takes up too much time. But since I made one of the rules to plan 3 meals, here we are. So anyways, I am also going to rope drop Flight of Passage for extra magic hours, so that's from 8 to 8:15. From there, I'm going directly to Expedition Everest from 8:15 to 8:45, and from 8:45 to 9:30 doing Kilimanjaro Safari. So again, because of the ridiculous wait time for Flight of Passage right now, I feel like it's the most efficient way to go about doing it. And with this, you're also getting to hit Kilimanjaro in the morning, which will be when the animals are most active. So that's another plus for that. So after that, I am leaving to Hollywood Studios, let's just say by a bus. So from 9:30 to 10, that is my travel time. From 10 to 10:45, I will ride Tower of Terror. My longest wait time for the day comes after that, from 10:45 to 12 for Toy Story Mania. So it was an hour wait and then counting for 15 minutes for the actual ride.
That's so long. I'm so sorry, but like I could not justify waiting in line for that. That's why I had to burn my fast pass.
Yeah, and it was by far the longest. I think I had one other ride on here. I might have had a 45-minute wait maybe, but that's it. Almost everything else I tried to plan where it dropped down to below a 30-minute wait to get on. So if I was really trying to hit this as absolutely efficiently as possible, I might suggest dropping off Midway Mania, but since this is all ridiculous anyways, we're just gonna leave it in there. And so that's it. I didn't hit anything else in Hollywood Studios, just those 2 and gone. So after that, from 12 to 12:30 was my travel to Epcot, again, I guess by a bus. I guess I'm not as nostalgic with transportation modes as everyone else, because I was just trying to get there as fast as possible. So from 12:30 to 1, have mission space, and this was honestly more of just a filler. The way things were dropping in my schedule, it made sense to put something in there that had a 15-minute wait in this window, and that was one of the few that I could find. So again, if this was a real thing, I would consider dropping this out, or, you know, just enjoying a bit of the park instead of trying to hit it this hard. But after that, it did Spaceship Earth from 1 to 1:30, Living with the Land from 1:30 to 2, and then from 2 to 3, I would suggest going to World Showcase and eating at Le Cellier in Canada. This is another one I've never been to, but from what I hear, you know, easily within the top 1 or 2 of places to eat at Disney.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us a little review on it?
Oh, I mean, I haven't been in a long time, but I still vividly remember that it was like the best steak that I've ever had in my life. The sides were good, and what I really remember the most is I'm probably a little remember it very well because of this, but we had the most amazing waiter I've ever had, I think, in pretty much any restaurant, not even just Disney restaurant, but any restaurant. Like, he pulled up a chair, he sat with us, he talked to us, like, he was great. So
cool.
Before you go on, if you had to choose between your waiter here and the attractive waiters at Via Napoli, which would you choose?
I mean, based on like niceness and actually being a good waiter, definitely this guy. The Italian waiters are like good atmosphere for the delicious pizza, but you know, that's all.
All right. So continuing with mine, from 3 to 4, I have allotted just an hour to walk around World Showcase. So this kind of hurt me because I feel like World Showcase deserves way more than an hour to really enjoy it. But in the theme of this game, I don't want to say waste because that doesn't sound right, but spend that much time there and miss out on other things. But while there, I would suggest grabbing a beer in Germany, or going to the Mexican Pavilion, or the department store in Japan. So I think it would be pretty plausible to hit those 3 things at least in an hour and really kind of delve into them. So, and after that, I am done with Epcot. I'm taking the monorail to Magic Kingdom. So that's from 4 to 4:30. From 4:30 to 5:30, I have another hour allotted to walk around Main Street, shop at the Emporium, look at the train station, pretty much anything else. So I did kind of like that you have this, you know, almost 2-hour just kind of like time to chill out kind of in the middle of the day and somewhat regroup. Like I said, again, this is just absolutely ridiculous. It still doesn't make up for how much stuff I have crammed in here, but there is that at least. And I know we've touched on this before on the show, but, you know, Main Street is something that gets overlooked a lot, I think, by a lot of visitors, and it really shouldn't. So I made sure to allot some time for it to be appreciated. So after that, as you may have been keeping up with, I have not used Fast Passes yet, so this is where I realized kind of a fault in my rules, but it would be extremely difficult to pick up additional Fast Passes this late in the day if you haven't burned your 3 yet, but whatever. I made the rules, so deal with it. So from 5:30 to 5:45, doing a Fast Pass for Seven Dwarfs. From 5:45 to 6:15, Haunted Mansion. From 6:15 to 6:30, Dumbo, and that was kind of another just what would fall in there. And it had a 5-minute wait at this time, so I got to round that one down. So no wait. From 6:30 to 6:45, I'm using my second Fast Pass for Space Mountain. And so here's one where I guess I kind of strayed away from everyone else. I'm going from 6:45 to 7 and hopping on the monorail to the Polynesian so that from 7 to 8 I can eat dinner at Ohana. I think it's a really, really unique restaurant at Disney, and you get a lot of good atmosphere and a bit of a show and just a really all-around cool experience to do. I love the food there, and it's personally one of my favorite restaurants, so I would highly suggest somebody that's going for this once-in-a-lifetime experience to kind of get that once-in-a-lifetime meal experience, and I think Ohana does a good job at that. So after that, I am going back to Magic Kingdom on the monorail. I'm using my last Fast Pass Plus for Peter Pan's flight from 8:15 to 8:30. So from 8:30 to 9, I have time allotted to go grab a Dole Whip at Aloha Isle and then find a spot in the hub to watch the fireworks, which, granted, I know I'm only probably putting the person there about 15 minutes or so before it starts, so they're probably not going to get a great seat, but...
But you made the rules. You get
If
to
there's
bring them
only
however you
one
want to.
person, they can just shove their way up.
There you go.
Exactly, right? As long as you push your way through the crowd and make it to the front, like it's like you got there early, right? So, please don't do that, people. So
Or
from 9...
they can find a random stranger and climb on their shoulders. Please also don't do that.
Or if they have a stroller, all bets are off, right? They can just do whatever they want in the park. So from 9 to 9:15, watch Happily Ever After. And this is where the ridiculous additional Fast Pass came in. From 9:15 to 9:30, I'm saying pick up a Jungle Cruise Fast Pass. So let me go back on this. I used my last Fast Pass at 8:30, and I'm picking up a Jungle Cruise one 45 minutes later. That ain't gonna happen. So just, I guess, take this list with a grain of salt. From 9:30 to 10, Big Thunder Mountain. From 10 to 10:30, Pirates. From 10:30 to 11, Carousel of Progress. And then, very inefficiently, I'm going back to the Polynesian after the park's done, and spending an hour from 11:15 to 12:15 at Trader Sam's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is another one. I've never been to any bar that has this kind of atmosphere and just all-around fun in it. I think it's a very unique experience at Disney, and, you know, one that shouldn't be missed. So yeah, also get the Nautilus. I think that's the best drink they've got there. And that's it. So from my extremely busy day from 7 o'clock to 12:15 at night, the person is probably passed out multiple times, had to crawl onto the monorail to even get back to the Polynesian, and they've still got to make it back to Animal Kingdom, but whatever, they're on their own there. They can find their own way back. So, yeah. So with mine, I guess if I was trying to pitch this to someone, why they should pick mine was that you did get to go to all 4 parks, 17 total attractions, 10 of which I would consider e-tickets. And I did try to minimize the travel times between parks, so using the monorail from Epcot to Magic Kingdom saved a half hour. So, yeah.
Nice.
I think mine is even more ridiculous than Kirsten's was.
I think yours was pretty ridiculous.
I guess I counted like my rides / attractions, and I had 20 total, so we're pretty
Oh,
even.
wow. So, yeah. You know, I guess I didn't think about it too much when I was counting them, though, but I did leave those kind of allotted times, like for Main Street and World Showcase. So if you were able to cram stuff in there, it would have been able to get a little bit more.
Yeah, my people don't get to buy souvenirs.
Yeah.
They don't have time for that.
They don't even know their name by the end, much less are they able to find their credit card.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
All right. Anything else before I delve into my vastly different than everyone else's one?
First of all, hold on. I really want to say this. I love the layout that you have for yours. I mean, I'm gonna call you out on it. I see that it's a template from someone else.
Right.
We should really post this on the show notes because it is a beautiful layout. Like,
I did edit it a little bit, but it's mostly the template. And also, I got it from there's like a 5-day and a 10-day one, and I use this for
Okay.
like every trip that I go on, pretty much. So I can give the link to that as well, because it's a very useful tool to have everything in one place and look nice.
this is what mine looked like in my head, and then I had to like write it out on a notebook and then like throw it in a bunch of different things. So, go ahead. You can go with yours.
All right. So, unlike everybody else, I did not start my day at Animal Kingdom. I had my people staying at the Polynesian and having a quick service breakfast at Captain Cook's because it's open 24/7 and they could go as early as they want. So I had them there from 6:15 to 6:45. Then monorail to the Magic Kingdom after that. So I had the extra magic hours from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. because the regular park hours started at 8 a.m. So I had the first thing walk on to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train from 7 to 7:15. Then after that, Peter Pan's flight 7:15 to 7:45. Pirates 7:45 to 8:15. Space Mountain, as you can see, they're walking very, very fast. Space Mountain.
Your people just teleported.
Yeah, really, they're running. Space Mountain from 8:15 to 8:45, and then Jungle Cruise / Jingle Cruise, because that's what it is right now, 8:45 to 9:15. Haunted Mansion 9:15 to 9:45, and Journey of the Little Mermaid from 9:45 to 10:15. So this is their hectic morning. Then they take a bus from Magic Kingdom to Animal Kingdom and Fast Pass Navi River Journey at 11:15. And then have lunch at Satuli Canteen from 11:30 to 12. And I know this is probably a really unpopular opinion, but I had them waiting in the queue for Flight of Passage, and I know that 2 hours is a really long time, but this queue is so amazing that I feel like even though 2 hours is a really long time, standing in any other queue would be harder for me personally, because there's just so much detail in this queue that I thought at least they would have tons of stuff to look at. Whereas if you stand in the Navi River Journey queue, then it's not as good. But
It's a bunch of sticks.
right. So I had them at Flight of Passage from 12 to 2, and then my second and then I had my Fast Pass Expedition Everest from, it was 1:15 to 2:15, so I had them jumping in there at 2 to 2:15, so like right at the end of their window. And then 2:15 to 2:30 for Fast Pass for Kilimanjaro Safaris. Then after that, travel to Epcot from Animal Kingdom and get there at 3 o'clock and jump on Spaceship Earth till 3:30. And then Soarin', I found like a weirdly kind of lower-ish wait time at 3:30, so I had them waiting for about 30 minutes, and then I counted like 15 minutes for them to actually ride it. So Soarin' from 3:30 to 4:15. After that, from 4:15 to 4:45, Living with the Land. And 4:45 to 6 o'clock, World Showcase Food and Drinks, because that is one of my favorite parts of Disney, is walking around World Showcase and eating little bites here and there and trying all the different drinks and just enjoying the atmosphere. So I dedicated maybe too much time to that, but that's what I would want to do. So, and I think you need to spend a couple minutes in each country. So, if you're spending an hour and 15 minutes, that's, a little bit of time in each country where you can actually say you experienced it.
So if you had to tell them to spend, if they had to divide up their time more so into just individual countries, which ones would you suggest them go to?
Definitely Japan would be where I would want them to spend most of their time. And I really like the inside of the Mexico pavilion, so that might be my other pick. But I think Japan's like my number one. Like, I always spend way more time there than any other country.
Yeah, I love the store there.
Yeah, I get lost in that store just finding things that I want to buy and weird things that I didn't know I needed. So yeah, after World Showcase, they took a boat from Epcot to Hollywood Studios, and my fourth Fast Pass was for Tower of Terror. So they rode that at 6:30, and then at 6:45, waiting in line for Rock and Roller Coaster, which had a weirdly short wait as well, I guess because it's like getting close to the end of the day since the park technically closed at 8. So Rock and Roller Coaster from 6:45 to 7:15, Star Tours from 7:15 to 7:45, and then I had them eating at 50's Primetime Cafe, which I've been to Tune-In Lounge a bunch, but I've never actually sat down in Primetime, but I've always heard really good things about it, especially Kirsten, your trip report last week, how you said you had a really good waiter, and I don't know. That's one of the things on my list that I really want to
So
make
worth
the
it.
time
Like,
for.
I would eat there every vacation and be perfectly happy.
Yeah. It's just like, it's so well themed. Just like from sitting in Tune-In Lounge and looking around, it makes, every time I go in there, I'm like, why didn't I make a reservation here? But I'll make time for it eventually. But luckily, my people made time for it, so they get to eat there even though I haven't.
Good call.
So after their dinner, they are going to see Fantasmic from 8:30 to 9:15. I just thought, I don't know, there's a bunch of nighttime shows. It's kind of like, we were talking that Rivers of Light is like the worst option that you could have picked for this. But
Don't give that away.
Sorry. No, go see Rivers of Light. Everyone, stay out of Pandora at night. But I really wish that we had had time to do Happily Ever After and Fantasmic, but I don't know. Fantasmic is just such a... I feel it's a lot more emotional to me than Happily Ever After. Like, it's a lot easier to get connected to. So I thought that was more of a Disney experience. So after that, I did not go back to Magic Kingdom. I did consider doing it for a while because it was open for another couple of hours, but I thought that it would be nice for them to have some time at the resorts. So from Hollywood Studios, I had them take a boat to Boardwalk, and I put jelly rolls on here, but I kind of put enough time to do like jelly rolls and just like walk around and see the little shops and I don't know, whatever else, because I think Boardwalk is such a beautiful place that I could just hang out there instead of going to a park on one of my vacation days. So I thought that they would need to check out at least one other resort than the one they're staying in.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think a lot of people, especially now that Disney Springs has expanded, kind of overlook the Boardwalk, but it's still, it has that much quieter, laid-back kind of charm to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Plus
I
you can
love
do-
it.
And there's definitely some cool...
Sorry.
What were you saying,
I was just
Kirsten?
saying I love it. I mean, it's been my husband's favorite for a while, and I've always just been kind of like, yeah, it's cool, but after the past 2 times that we've spent the weekend there, we didn't stay there this past weekend for the wedding, but that's where the wedding was, so everybody really congregated there every day, and it's just so relaxing. It's so nice to just sit there and like the water, and if I were gonna buy DVC, I say I would want to own Bay Lake, but realistically, Boardwalk would probably be what I went for now. I might have been pulled over. I might have been swayed to the Boardwalk side of things.
I like Boardwalk, but not that much. My money would still go to Bay Lake.
I think mine would go to Boardwalk too if I was to buy into DVC. I would say either Boardwalk
So you
or
say that-
Polynesian.
I do Polynesian, like, without a doubt.
You say that, but stay in Bay Lake and you will be swayed on everything.
Yeah.
It's such a good view, and then Top of the World is a really awesome. It's just the views are so great. I can't say anything else about it other than that. And the rooms are really nice too, but I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely want to make a point to. Obviously, I guess I could rent DVC and stay there, but I want to try to stay in more resorts from now on because I just got real spoiled last time. I didn't realize how awesome it was.
Just wait till you start staying at all deluxes, then you get real spoiled.
Oh, no. See, that's why, like, I considered, like, dishing out a ton of cash and staying at a deluxe. But I was like, no, I can't have a deluxe be my first one because then everything else is going to be a disappointment. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stay the first night at Pop Century and the other nights at Port Orleans Riverside. And then I don't have any expectations at all.
See, Brian and I have said this a couple times. Port Orleans is the most valuable, like, the deluxe version of a moderate. So you might have gotten spoiled there.
Oh, no, I definitely did. I absolutely loved Riverside. I guess what I was trying to say was that I started at Pop Century so that I had no expectations when I went to Riverside, and then now that I've stayed in Riverside, it's like, that's so nice that, I don't know, a deluxe doesn't seem as enticing, I guess. Like, I definitely still want to stay in one, or all of them, but I don't know.
We just got way off topic,
I know,
guys.
sorry. The point of the matter being is that Disney is not just the parks, you know? I feel like that part of the Disney experience is going, at least in checking out the resorts, even if you're not staying at them, because even though Riverside's the only one I've stayed at, I've been to a decent amount of them and just enjoyed the atmosphere. So I had my people go to Boardwalk as theirs. So after they left Boardwalk, they took a bus to the Magic Kingdom and monorailed back to the Polynesian where they're staying, and spent the rest of their night at Trader Sam's from 11:30 to 1:15. And I know that's a really long time, but I could literally sit there forever. So they're going to be really, really tired, but they'll have had a great time.
Nice.
So quick run through, like Brian did with his. I had 18 total attractions, and 12 of which I would consider e-ticket.
So, like we've kind of done here, what else do you feel like you missed? What do you feel, what are you regretful on this one?
For Magic Kingdom, my saddest thing is that I didn't have time to get a Dole Whip. But I was also really sad that I didn't have time for Carousel of Progress or the Enchanted Tiki Room, because I feel like those are classics. But
well, if you're staying at the Polynesian, though, you could always get a Dole Whip there.
that's true.
That's true.
That's true. They can get it when they check out in the morning.
Dole Whip for breakfast, yummy.
I think I kind of just got sick thinking about that.
But at Animal Kingdom, I wish I had time for them to go to Dinosaur and Festival of the Lion King, especially. And then also, I really like the Maharaja Jungle Trek. I know it's like, one of the reasons I didn't include that, and I also didn't include the Seas Pavilion at Epcot, was because they're more like zoo aquarium type of experiences, which I feel like, even though they're really, really good zoo or aquarium experiences, it's something that you can get elsewhere.
Right.
But I do still really love them. The only thing that I really missed at Hollywood Studios was Toy Story Mania, and I didn't really feel like I was missing much from Epcot except maybe Test Track, but yeah, Epcot's mostly food and drink to me anyway.
See, I don't know about y'all, but I was very compelled to completely do away with Hollywood Studios in mine. And, like, the only thing that really stopped me was thinking that they wouldn't get to ride Tower of Terror.
Yeah, me too.
That and
That was kind of-
Fantasmic were my rationales.
That was kind of my thing, and I think the thing that really stunk was, like I said earlier, I was kind of trying to make it so that they experienced every, like, type of ride that Disney has. And I feel like the two arcade-style rides, you have Buzz and you have Toy Story Mania. Toy Story Mania was the better of the two, I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And, like, the only way it was feasible was to get a fast pass for it. So I don't really regret going there, but easily skippable, and I could have made room for something similar.
Yeah.
I could have definitely left Hollywood Studios out if this weren't a once-in-a-lifetime trip for this person. Because I personally, and I think I've said this on previous podcasts, is I've went to Disney World 4 times in 2017, and I did not go to Hollywood Studios any of those times. I think it's, other than, like you guys said, Tower of Terror is the only thing that would even compel me to go there, but I don't know. I could have found better ways to spend that time if it weren't for Tower of Terror and Fantasmic.
Tower of Terror, and One Man's Dream, too, for me. That's just, I mean, it's so overlooked, and I'm so afraid they're going to just take away the video, but
Yeah.
I
They
love
do
it.
just keep chipping away, and it worries me.
Yeah. Surely someone has a recording of it.
It's on YouTube. It is,
it's not
but
the
I'm
same.
like,
It's not the same,
I know. I'm
but
like, can they please at least put it on DVD when they rip my heart out? Like,
That way you can relive the moment forever
I know.
for like $20.
It's just, I mean, it's like the whole reason why I love Disney. If this person was coming to me because they knew that I loved it, I would say, if you want to know why, go watch this, and you'll see why.
Well, and that is such, like, a moving thing, too. Like, I don't think people realize how, even if you're not a Disney fan, you can totally appreciate it for what it is, just because I don't know, to me it's just so moving, it's so good, and I love, like, the history with Disney, and to have something like that in the parks, where it kind of goes through all of that, it's really nice to have, and I'm gonna be sad when it goes away.
yeah. One other thing that I forgot to mention that I wish that I had time for was the fact that I didn't do any character meet and greets, which I know some people, I won't name any names, don't like characters, but I do feel like that's part of the Disney experience, and I wish that this person had had time for that too.
I actually tried to fit in a meet and greet with Mickey just for that reason, but I figured if I'm like choosing who I would pitch this to, I'd pitch it to somebody who likes thrills and that sort of thing, so I figured they'd be okay without it.
There was actually a dip in the touring plans calendar or time thing where Talking Mickey had like a 5-minute wait, and I was like, I could really throw that in there, but with where I was at the time that it happened, I think that was when I had all of my stuff crammed in at the very end. I was like, there's no possible way that you would make it from the back of the park to the front of the park, get in, get out, and then go back, and still make it in time to get on everything.
Yeah.
But
So now the real challenge is they won a 4-day park hopper pass, and they get to do all of our
jeez.
plans.
nope. I'm out of that one.
Oh, man.
So let's tie this up this week up with the news. This week in the news, we have 2 different things. One I am really excited to talk about. The other one I kind of want to get some theories from you guys as to what this could mean. First one is Pirates of the Caribbean is going to close for a 3-week refurb in early 2018. It looks like March 18th. Pirates of the Caribbean is going to be closing, and we know that this means that we are getting the new auction scene. Do you think that anything else is going to happen to this attraction? Do you think it's going to be like some preventative maintenance, some touch-ups, or is this the big thing that's going to happen in these 3 weeks?
I kind of feel like that this whole issue with the auction scene has been so divisive with Disney fans lately that they're not going to do too much more extensive changes than that during this update. But I don't know. That's just personal opinion, they may be planning something big.
3 weeks is such a short time. That's why I'm a little curious as to see what's going to happen. Like, usually when we see the big refurbs, it's a long time. And I feel very weird about the fact that we're getting that changed auction scene, because from all the things that I've read, it looks like that's confirmed. I feel like it's just very weird that it's only going to take 3 weeks for that to happen.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess they can pretty much have the animatronics ready to go and be tested and everything, individually, and then, it's mainly just a swap out and a couple weeks of tests, on the actual ride. So, but yeah, I don't know. One thing I'm hoping they do is change the camera placement for that Fast Pass photo.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's pretty brutal.
I don't understand. It's like, let's capture people's reactions at the most mundane part of this ride.
Some of the pictures that have come out of there have been pretty great, though, I have to say, because no one looks thrilled.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's before the drop. It's not during the drop. It's not after the drop. It's not during one of the many scenes in Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like they took the one point where there's no one thing for people to be looking at. Everyone's just staring off in different directions, and it makes a great family photo to hang over the mantelpiece.
What do you think about this, Beth? What's your takeaway from them closing it for 3 months, or this time?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was, like, if they added a couple of things here and there, like, the mist screen like they did in one of the previous refurbishments. But I don't think it's going to be anything huge. Like you said, it's like, 3 weeks. It's a decent chunk of time, but it's not enough to make,
it's
like,
not refurb time. Like,
change.
it's not a big amount of time.
Right. So yeah, I would be surprised if anything substantial came from it, but I would not be surprised if a couple of effects were added here and there.
Especially since we just got a new pirate movie a couple weeks ago on DVD. So.
Yeah, isn't there one that, like, they are gonna have another one too?
I don't know. I was under the impression that this was the last one, but I feel like they said
I was
time.
That,
too.
but yeah, if it makes money at the box office, they'll crank another one out.
Which reminds me, I got that the other day off of Disney Movie Club. Still haven't watched it. So
I don't think I've seen the last two.
The last one, I think it's pretty good. It gets a little bit more back to the originals and kind of with that plot line. That being said, like, I don't think it's anywhere close to as good as the first two were, but it's worth a watch if you like the series.
fair enough.
I'll have to check them out.
So the next one, this is one that I'm super excited about. Disney is researching what they're calling feeling fireworks, pyrotechnics for the visually impaired. So obviously, we all know and love the fireworks at Disney, but they've been working on this new project for visually impaired people. It's basically, the way that it's described is, I actually have the description in front of me, let me read that off. It says, tactile effects are created using direct water jets that spray into the rear of a flexible screen. With different nozzles for different fireworks effects, our approach is a low cost and scales well and allows dynamic tactile effects to be rendered with high spatial resolution. So it looks like it's going to be a big screen that you can feel, and it does like the fireworks effects with kind of like a water jet spraying on it. I'm all for Disney innovating new technology, and the fact that they're taking something that is so well known and loved by everyone that goes to these parks and making it for people that can't normally enjoy it is just so exciting for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
this is really cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. Anything that they can do to help anyone experience Disney that has some sort of disability that would impair them too, I'm all for it.
So the other cool thing about this article, before we kind of just discuss it a little bit, is it has different nozzles that change the effects. So you get everything from like the crackling fireworks, booming flowers, and like all the different kinds of displays that they can have with them. But this is the part that was really cool to me, is they did a focus group already on it, and they had 18 sighted participants that could properly identify the tactile feedback with the correct corresponding display, which was a 66% rate for their research. So this is the first time I'm hearing about it. There's a video of it as well, so it's kind of cool. Obviously, it's not going to help out anyone that can't actually see the video. But this technology is moving at a rate that I feel like they're probably already almost done testing it if it's got that high of a success rate.
Yeah. My thing is that, not to try and take away from that experience, but this is something that I want to try, even though I'm not visually impaired.
I'm going to send this to you guys at the end of the show, and you can take a look at it. It's really neat. I mean, it's a fairly simple concept behind it, but it's super cool. I am all for it, and I like you said, anything that adds to having a more enjoyable experience for someone at Disney is just such a plus. What I'm wondering, though, and I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or feelings about this, is where would they implement this and how? Because, like I said, it's kind of like a latex screen, and it's got the fireworks shooting behind it, so you would actually have to touch and feel the, where the fireworks are. So, do you think this would be like a thing that they would implement in like a special area during the fireworks shows? Do you think it's something that they're prepping for, like, maybe an extra queue thing? Like, what do you guys take away from that?
My idea was that they would have a special section during the, like, regularly scheduled fireworks, because, I mean, you know, this is a cool experience regardless of when you're doing it, but I think it would be a big plus to, you know, if somebody that does have, like, a visual impairment goes with their family who doesn't, and they get to experience fireworks at the same time, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that would be ideal. So I would say it's maybe like, I don't know, kind of like how they, like the dessert party, how they have like the roped off area that you get to stand in. Like, maybe they'll have a different roped off area for this.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, along those same lines, you definitely want, you know, the families to be able to experience it together. I mean, that's one of the biggest parts about going to Disney. So, I don't know, like I haven't seen the video yet. So, you know, if they could possibly do this with, you know, a clear screen where, you know, maybe the families could sit there and you know, see the fireworks show through the screen as they're doing these tactile effects. Might be a cool way for them to, you know, make it where everyone can enjoy it together.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
The video's 53 seconds long. I sent it to you guys in the Facebook group. But just a quick rundown, because I kind of watched it really quick while we were talking about it. It's a black screen with a projector behind it, so the visual effects are displayed as the fireworks are going off with the effects.
Okay.
So I don't know if, like, in theory, let's say, you know, they're doing Happily Ever After and the fireworks are going off with that as well, if you would be able to see the same fireworks or what their stance on that would be. But I'm very interested to see what Disney does with this moving from here, because Disney is just so great at innovating technology and just implementing it in such a magical way. It's just, that sounds so cliche, but it's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they synced it up to the actual fireworks.
I don't think I would be either. I think
But-
that's probably the best practical way to do it.
But Happily Ever After doesn't have, like, the firework element isn't, like, huge. I mean, they obviously,
Yeah.
it has areas that have fireworks, but I think they would maybe have to add extra stuff for this, because if you're not able to see the projection mapping, then you might get kind of bored.
So that was kind of where I feel a little weird about this, because, I mean, earlier I asked you guys where you thought they would implement it, and that's why I kind of asked, was because it feels like all the fireworks shows we have now don't really rely heavily on fireworks. Even Illuminations being probably one of the older ones, that and Fantasmic, you have so much else going on with both of those shows. Fantasmic, you have the stage with the characters and the water screens, and Illuminations, you have the globe and the fire or the torches. I think Illuminations is the only one that really relies on the fireworks anymore, and even then, you lose part of that if you don't have the globe. I feel like that's like the big, climax to it all.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I'm excited to see where they go with it, and I feel like that may mean we might be getting a new show somewhere. I don't know. But
That would be exciting.
that would be very exciting.
Yeah.
That said, we are running very close on time. Is there anything else that you guys want to do before we wrap this thing up this week?
I'm good.
Huh?
Sounds good to me. And that's going to do it for us today, guys. Thanks for joining us again on another episode of the Station 71 podcast. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, leave us an iTunes review as well, and we'll read it on the show. If you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us on our Facebook at facebook.com/Station71pod. We're on Twitter at Station71pod, Instagram at Station71podcast, and you can shoot us your emails at Station71podcast@gmail.com. We hope you enjoyed your ride, and we'll see you real soon.